Welcome to Empirical Pod. I'm your host, Tim Day. Thank you so much for continuing this journey with me, where I get to sit and talk to all my favorite people. You guys remember the drill. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe. Let's get into today's episode. Yeah, take it easy in your C4.
Yeah, I don't want to get too loaded on the caffeine here.
All right. This is exciting. We're back. Well, I'm back in Silver Springs. Haven't recorded here since last season. And I'm here with one of my favorites, Noah, Wright?
Yep.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy I caught you in town.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's just fucking jump into it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Did you start in Oswego?
I did not. I grew up right down the road in Aurora.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you're an Aurora guy.
Yeah.
Like Jason Carey. He's
Yeah.
an Aurora guy.
Yeah. Well, Jason Carey, he's an Aurora guy, but he's stinkier. So, and that's okay.
True. When I told him I was going to have you on the show, he's like, you have to at least make the joke of, like, when you were thinking for a guest, say that you know a guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, everybody does know a guy.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. I have integrity.
I like it. Now, I grew up over there. Spent the first couple of years on the west side, and then moved out of state. We went to Louisiana for a few months, and then came back. Pretty much grew up there, and then moved to Boulder Hill when I was like just short of my 11th birthday. Really? And then I just grew up there, like right down the street from 7-Eleven.
Because you're a couple years younger than us?
Yeah, I think so. I'm 40 now. Yeah.
Oh, that's only one. I just turned 41.
Yeah.
Jason will be 42 because he's gross. But
yeah, he is absolutely gross.
Yeah. I don't even remember you in school.
No. See, I went to a different school than everybody else.
Okay,
That's
so even
why.
when you came back to Boulder Hill.
Right. So I stayed in the same school going from Aurora to Boulder Hill because it was an alternative school. It was kind of...
You're a bad seat.
Yeah, it was a pain in the seat, in the rear. And they didn't like that, so,
People hate, especially adults, they hate it when you don't do what they say.
Oh, yeah, especially in the 80s and 90s. It was just kind of not a thing. You just conformed.
So I actually don't know anything about, other than hearing that it exists, about alternative school. Like, what is that?
It was pretty intense when I went for the first, say, 10 years or so, up until freshman in high school.
I'm always curious, like, because I've worked in, like, a junior high, and I've seen, like, there's DO programs and discipline programs, and, these are the quote-unquote bad kids, like, whatever, or opportunities, but they're still in the main school.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, how do you even get pulled out of that?
So, I mean, in the time that I was in kindergarten, there was not a lot of developments,
Right,
so, I mean, I'm thinking, like, 89,
that was
90,
still the infancy of them, like, giving a shit about mental health
at
all.
Yeah, so at that time, they were still, incarcerating some people, I think, if I'm right. I may be wrong with that, but...
it sounds good. It sounds dramatic.
Yeah, it does sound really dramatic, so it's good for effect. But what they did was just put a lot of folks that had mental issues, be it emotional, permanent physical issues, and then they would also have the kids that had behavioral issues, which were the majority, probably 80%. Right. And then there was 20% of just kids that had various different issues. Right. They just put us all together.
It's got to be tough, too, because it's such a generalized group.
Yeah.
Not really, again, like we said, because of the time, nobody's really getting the support they need because they're not looking at it that way yet. Right. They're just like, you just can't be in the main thing. Because it's always weirded me out because I've known you for a long, long time, and I'm like, you're like the most boring normal person I know.
Yeah. I mean, I just do my own thing. That's all.
I you know what? If you don't try to control him, I'll bet he doesn't ever have a problem. He's sweet as pie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you leave me alone, I do my thing. That's just kind of. Now, I mean, there's some other people that may disagree with that statement, but that's.
But they try to get you to do something specific.
Exactly, you got it.
So that was all through high school?
Yeah, all the way up until...
Was that your whole school career? Like, because you said even in kindergarten.
Yeah, I went, freshman year was my last full year there. Yeah. Well, actually, I take that back. was my last full year in that system.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Oswego for 1 semester, was expelled, and then had to go to behind the high school.
Yeah.
To
I remember that there
school.
was the opportunity school behind the high school. What did you get expelled for?
Probably foul language in the classroom.
Is that
something,
really?
Something really just.
Would you get booted for that? Ridiculous.
Not coming to school.
I feel like you'd have to be violent
you know,
to get expelled. Like just swearing.
Well, there was I forget the guy's name, but he was the varsity coach for football.
Yeah.
And he loved to get in my face. And I was never the one to.
Yeah.
You know, I just kept level-headed until you pushed me enough, and then I'd probably scream at you, and it would blow off. And
call guys like us bears for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just leave us alone. You know what I mean? It's not a good idea. So I mean, I missed a lot of school, and that was a big part of it.
Did you just skip like?
Yeah. Well, I'd go and make sure first period I had an attendance, so there's no truancy issue there, and then take off. You know, and just go to various places, and various friends had already graduated, or you know, and they'd come pick me up, and we'd go do whatever. You know.
I like that you used the word truancy beautifully. Yeah. But somehow I'm supposed to believe you're an opportunity kid.
I just did whatever they wanted. So, you know, night school came up, and I said, you know what, I'll do it. I had a lot of support from my parents to say, you know, why don't you just go do it? It's your opportunity to get your diploma. You're going to screw up if you don't. So I did, you know, I just kind of kicked it in high gear and just.
Because you never had an issue really with the school part.
No.
You've always been a smart dude. It's literally just control is a big thing, especially like public schools. The worst. Like as far as them trying to control and really create clones, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the big difference between, you know, Aurora public schools and then coming out to Oswego public schools was, you know, there was a lot more support in the Oswego realm. But then again, though, I mean, you're talking 10 years after the initial going into, you know, that.
But I do think like maybe I'm biased just because I grew up there, but it's like, I feel like District 308 was a really, really good, progressive district, especially back in the day, when they could be, before everything kind of started pouring in and overwhelming. And I feel like they were like leading that charge back in that time. Whereas Aurora might have been like already overwhelmed and like, we're doing what we can.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Just going from, because I was mixed with Aurora kids and, you know, even kids as far as like Algonquin and,
that's wild.
So that was really weird. And I did get a wide group of friends because of that.
Yeah.
But the main group of friends I had was in Oswego because, you know, you don't have money to go elsewhere.
That's true, yeah.
So, you know, we did all of our little hoodlum stuff, if you will. You know, well, luckily nothing too bad.
Well, there's a difference between just, you know, kids being kids and having some fun that maybe they shouldn't, and then being an actual criminal.
I've done criminal things, but you know, luckily I paid my time for that. You know? And I was a kid when I did it.
Smart.
Never an adult.
I like that when you become an adult, you're like, I should probably stop fucking around.
It's probably dumb to do that. Or the one that I love the most is when a good friend finally tells you, like, dude, really? Come on.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, okay, I agree.
I guess we're done having fun.
Fine.
So after high school, then, did you go to college?
I did not. I did a lot of working. I decided to start
immediately into working. You were still in Illinois.
Yeah. Up until I just was working, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Mainly, I didn't have money for college, and I didn't want to absorb debt to go anywhere. And I was also uninformed, like highly uninformed. I didn't have the support of my parents in that manner, or really anybody.
You feel like you even had even the direction to be like, what would I even take? What do I care about even doing? Like lately, the last couple of years, I've been like, I don't feel like I'm a career person.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing where I'm like, I'll just do this forever and enjoy it. I've done a shitload of jobs. Yeah. And some I like and some I dislike, but I want to try everything. Yeah. But I'm like, there's nothing I can think of I would have went to school for.
Yeah. I would have went maybe 12 volt, stuff like that, because that's what I did at Circuit City. Yeah. I did a lot of the 12 volt sales and installation.
Which is where we met.
Yeah, that is where we met.
So we actually met at Circuit City like forever ago.
Yeah.
That was 2002. No, it was 2002.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, 98, I couldn't even drive. I got my license in 99,
yeah, that makes
which
sense.
means you couldn't drive.
Yeah, that totally means I couldn't drive.
Yeah, we would, because in 2002, I worked at Circuit City. Then I got Jason a job there.
Yeah.
And then eventually you got a job. In fact, I gave you my old job when I was leaving,
right, yeah.
the warehouse lead position.
That's why that warehouse stank so bad, probably. It's all three of us in there, just really,
that was
manning
Seth.
the place
That was
up.
Seth, bro.
Seth. Oh my goodness. That's unfortunate. I haven't thought about him in many years, but that's he was a good guy. He was kind of weird.
He was a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude when you actually talk to him and he would talk to you.
Yeah.
But we used to literally have to be like, bro, you gotta take your uniform home and wash it. It's bad. It's bad.
It's like, I'm coming to you with love.
Yeah.
Pure love, my friend.
Yeah.
Just, please.
I don't know how
or
you're
just
handling
bring your extra one in. Maybe send it home with me. I'll take care of it for you.
Please, something. But that was a good time. We used to.
It really was.
Jason and I used to do some shenanigans. Yep. I remember I talked Cheryl into buying us sledgehammers. And we would sledgehammer into DSW next door. Oh, me and Chris Talbot would do that.
Chris Talbot too, yeah.
Yeah.
What another great friend from all of that I haven't seen in many years. But yeah, that was all. That was just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, especially working retail can be really shitty.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of I forget the name of I think 40-Year-Old Virgin, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they're working in that kind of dynamic almost,
Yeah, I think people don't realize it is like that.
Yeah, it really.
Especially with customers running around, we're having fun doing ridiculous things.
There's things that should never be said in front of customers that are said on the floor. Customers aren't there, but it was definitely a fun time.
Yeah. So that was because we were still young then. When did you start a business then?
When I moved down to Arizona, I followed my ex-wife down there. Her family moved from Boulder Hill, and it was a good opportunity for us to go down and change our lifestyle and just kind of get
start,
out.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fresh start. Just kind of go down and figure out what we wanted to do. And I had a couple job leads already down there because her parents had left already and were there maybe a year or something.
Yeah.
Like
now, when you say fresh start too, when you were still up here, because we know that Sugar is down there eventually also. Mm-hmm. You were working with Sugar up here.
Yes, yeah.
Which is as much as we need to say.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
But so fresh start makes sense. Because you also, before you left though, because after I left Circuit City, we didn't really see each other for a long time, other than running into each other in town here and there. Then we showed up again at Menard's distribution center.
Yes.
And we didn't know the other one worked there. We're like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, it was. That was
so
another good
I just wanted to add that little caveat. And then fresh start in Arizona.
Yeah. What happened, that was literally Menard's. One day I just had a really bad day at work.
Dude, that was the worst place.
At that place.
Dude, I was in a car accident once, and I had an open schedule, so I was only mandatory every other Saturday.
Right.
And I missed one Saturday because of a car accident.
Right.
And when I went back in, they're like, oh, you missed Saturday, we fired you. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I tried calling, and they're like, all right, go home and write us the paper about why you should keep your job.
No, thanks.
And I was like, fuck off. I'm like, okay, I'm gone then.
Believe me, you need me more than I need you.
Yeah,
there's plenty of jobs out here. Plano Molding is hiring.
Perfect.
I liked working there. It was okay, but like I said, a lot of stressful situations, a lot of very unsafe situations.
Oh, man, yeah.
I did just about every forklift job there was to do there.
Yeah.
And they're
I remember.
Weird.
Did you ever run the line upstairs?
Oh yeah. That's where I started.
Run the line. Me too.
Yeah.
And then forklifting and everything.
Yeah.
Were you part of the class action lawsuit?
No.
There was a class action lawsuit years ago because they weren't paying people overtime, but they were making them work. Yeah. We were part of that.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not going to admit any wrongdoing, but we're going to settle out of court. And then instead of paying people money, they paid them all in Menard's credit.
Oh, boy.
So bogus,
smart.
dude.
That's so
smart on them. Way to not really pay for anything.
Yep. Yeah. Boy, they got a discount on that debt. They really did.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep... maybe I have ADD.
Yeah.
But I'm very tangenty. So Arizona.
Yes.
Ex-wife. Her whole family goes down there.
Yeah. Her whole family, her sisters and mom and stepdad had moved down, and we were very much in love and just like wanted to start over.
Do you already have your daughter then?
No, we.
I thought you had her when you were still up here. Because I feel like I went to your house before, and because she was very little.
It probably. So I visited here a lot.
That's true too. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, you may have seen her up here out on one of the various parties I would have in Yorkville or anywhere really.
I wouldn't have gone to a party, especially with a bunch of thugs.
Nah, it wasn't thugs. Just hoodlums.
Right.
A bit of a difference.
My mistake. Fair enough. Yeah.
We still respect people. Come on.
For sure. It's weird because I remember being at your house or whatever you were staying, and I could not for the life of me tell you why. And like it's a random place that I would have shown up.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Other than like we were friends, but it's not like we talked every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the hell? I vividly remember.
It might have just been like my place over in Aurora. It was my first apartment. I had invited.
It was in Aurora.
Everyone over there. So it would have been over on Sim Street. That would have been my only place.
Right.
Yeah, above the old salon. Well, it's still a salon there, but it does not look near as nice as it used to.
Yeah. So. Well, time has been unkind to certain parts.
Especially the east side of Aurora.
Yeah. So when you get to. It's really interesting because other part of Aurora is like they've gentrified and it looks really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if they're like working towards it. They're just like, this is a lost cause.
Yeah.
But when you get to Arizona, do you start working or you're like, it's a new fresh start, I'm gonna take my hand at creating something?
So I've always been that guy that's got to get right to it.
Yeah.
You know, I need my own money. I need my own space. I need to get at it. Well,
because did you guys all stay together?
We did, yeah. So they invited us to come down. They bought a 5-bedroom house, and so there was 2 extra bedrooms, and so they let us have one of them, and we were there for a little while. And then just decided to get an apartment. Some things kind of transpired. It always does when you're that close quarters.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah, and so it was just like, we need to get our own little place, and we did. And for a while there, we were church going, and just kind of trying to do our own thing and thinking that was our key to success.
Yeah.
And oh boy, was that.
Well, it's easy to fall into like the family thing too, and kind of like, oh, this is our routine,
right?
Like, and for a while, a routine feels good,
but
then eventually, maybe you look back and you're like, I'm gonna blow my brains out. I am not enjoying this.
I mean, there were definitely some parts of that was like, man, this sucks, but. If I didn't go that route, I probably would not have had a kid. I probably would have never been married, and my life would have went a little bit differently. But it couldn't have been too much different. I don't think. But
do you think it kept you on? Maybe I'm way out of line. By all means, correct me. Mm-hmm. Do you think it kept you on a straighter path? "Quote unquote" straighter path.
Oh yeah.
Like if that wouldn't have happened, you might have ended up in some more devious situations.
I might have moved back to Illinois and kind of reverted to some of my old ways and got into some trouble, possibly.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It definitely woke me up and kept me there long enough to where the roots were like, all right, you got to stay, buddy. And that's really what it is up until recently, to where I've been traveling back a lot more because I love it here. My soul is here. My parents are buried here, so it's like I don't, even in the wintertime, it still calls me. It's so weird, and the winter is so gross here.
So gross, dude.
Just,
even summer can be so gross, like for a couple of weeks, but at the end of the day, it's home, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I still want to venture out and go other places, but I feel like at some point it's always going to be like, okay, it's time to go home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's I always crave the, I'm in the a sandwich gas station or a Plano gas station.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh hey, so and so. I haven't seen you in 10 years, man. How you been?
Yeah.
That's always a great aspect of just being out and about. That's that kind of soul healing. Just. Maybe you were depressed at home and you decided to get out and you ran into somebody. That's just a great thing when those type of phenomena happen.
Especially when you're feeling like kind of low and you're like, you get that connection and be like, oh, I'm part of this.
Yes,
still. This is
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you definitely feel that your identity to back in the whole circle of everything. So.
Yeah.
And that can definitely help you just realize you need, healing or whatever it is, but
human connection.
Yeah, human connection has always been a wonderful thing. But,
it's tough because I'm like, we were even talking about you earlier, where it's like, leave me alone and I'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I kind of realized in that, like, then you're sitting there one day all alone and you're like, why doesn't anybody talk to me?
Right, yeah. That sucks.
I spent my whole life being an asshole. Now nobody will talk to me.
Damn it. I don't be an asshole no more.
So what kind of business were you trying to, or did you create down there?
What I created was something called Right Away Courier. Kind of spin on the
Literally your last name.
Yeah. And so we did same-day logistics for many of companies.
Yeah.
So most of them were like Microsoft, the MLB, some of those type of places. So like the MLB, at the start and the end of a series, there's usually a 2, 3, 4 game series.
Sure.
A group of umpires will come in, and so they have trunks, each one of them. So you'll take their 4 trunks in and drop them off at the stadium. When they're done, you pull those out, but you're bringing in the next set.
Right.
And you just keep recycling out until the season's over. You do this with spring training because spring training's really big in Mesa.
Yeah. I say a lot of teams go down there for
half
spring
the league,
training, right?
more than half the league goes
Yeah.
to I think there's something like 14 stadiums down there or something like that.
That's wild.
And a lot of them are dual occupancy stadiums for teams. So
That feels lucrative.
it is extremely lucrative to the point of where they tax the rental car business in that
really?
month a lot more. I think it's like 13% more. So if you fly in during spring training in Arizona, expect to spend some more money on a rental car if you have to. And even now it's, I think, B&Bs and all that stuff. But it's rightly so, you got to pay for that stuff.
Yeah, you got to make money.
Yeah.
And it's still worth it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a debate on that. But
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, so I did Right Away Courier. That was one of the aspects, MLB. Another one was data centers were a big thing where they would just swap out drives.
Yeah.
They just would map a drive, essentially put the data that they had on the other one from a backup into this new one and slide it in. Well, I was the guy that delivered that drive.
Yeah.
If the drive was in New York, they'd put it on an airplane, and I'd pick it up at the airport and take it to wherever it had to go. Same with films on, Thursdays. For Thursday night films, for midnight screenings or Friday screenings, they would contract a guy like me to go.
That's awesome.
But
Were
that
you
was
your
also,
only employee?
It was me, my ex-wife, and then I had some franchises in other locations that were. I didn't technically have employees. I had 1099 franchisees.
Nice.
Kind of set it up a different way. It was slightly beneficial that way until I started making real money. Then it was not beneficial that way.
Did you restructure? Or?
I did restructure as a corporation.
LLC?
And it was LLC to begin with,
okay,
but
right.
we restructured as a corporation. And one thing I learned from that is to ask a lot of questions and make sure you hire the right people.
Yeah.
And don't forgo hiring certain people, because that was probably ultimately the end of my business, because I didn't hire the correct CPAs. I didn't hire the correct tax lawyers. I didn't hire a lot of the people. And in the end, it just became a wash. And it was like, do I want to keep doing this? No.
So it all, because like you said, eventually you're making money.
Yeah.
Where does the wash come in, though? Just because
divorce.
That'll do it. Right?
Yeah, divorce.
And then those holes of not having these people to plug these problems.
And a COVID style.
I forgot.
We were done long before COVID.
Okay.
But a COVID style event happened in the same day world when the stock market really dropped. 2008 it happened.
That's true.
Again, it was a mild, lots of mild downturns, and those mild downturns are big downturns sometimes for some corporations.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those corporations were my contractees. So those people
stopped hiring.
Yeah, my customers essentially. So like Microsoft, those guys, when they stop putting out drives because they're pre-shipping them with UPS now, and say, you guys are going through 30 or 40 of these a month, let's just ship you these out instead of spending that $1,000 a pop on every single time that you've got to take a drive. Or whatever.
I mean, that's good business, but that
and it
sucks
is.
for that middle.
It's wonderful business. It's great that they identified that, but I was the middle guy that got kind of
shafted.
On it. But it is what it is, and that's okay. I learned a lot from that. I was able to apply that in my professional life.
Sure.
When I walked away from that. Another thing that really made it go downturn was like I just kind of stepped back. I was working 18-hour days. Sometimes I was on the road for 20 hours, which is extremely dangerous. And there were times I have fallen asleep on the road and scared the hell out of myself.
That's why I try not to drive at night, because I fall asleep so easy.
Then I get old
especially
man
back
syndrome
roads,
real
dude,
quick.
where there's no lights. Like, it's bad.
Yeah, unless I'm on a highway, man, I can definitely get that old man syndrome real quick. Turn that heater up, put the elevator music on. And I am just like that's why the C4s work so good for me.
Yeah.
They're not sponsored by us, by the way.
Not yet. We'll get there.
That's cool. We'll work on it. But yeah, so that business was wonderful. I mean, I did a lot of cool stuff. I went a lot of weird places. Like I took, I had some Department of Defense runs that I did. I took one from Tucson, Davis Mountain Air Force Base, all the way out to Dulles Air Force Base, and that was just a really cool experience. Yeah. My ex-wife was pregnant, so that was kind of like it was, I know it sounds corny, but it was more of a spiritual type of thing in a driver's life, I guess you could say. Your whole family was there, and, I did a very restricted run that was really, really cool and unique, So that was, having those type of experiences was really cool because it allowed me to come back here a lot. It allowed me a lot more money. I could do a lot more things. But again, not... having money and not knowing what to do with it is a horrible thing.
It can be dangerous.
Yeah, it really is. And that's exactly what happened. That was the other aspect of the business closing. So, not reinvesting, not doing things that needed to be done. I just got out there and turned a job into a business. That's really what I did. And it kind of blew up on me. So
not for nothing, like you were saying, hiring the right people is critical because like you're an intelligent guy, but you're a worker. Yeah. So you're out there working, you need somebody building and... You
gotta hand that over at some point.
Yeah, putting in the safety nets and making sure everything's okay. Right. Do you think you would try your hand at business again?
Absolutely.
I know you're in the process of eventually getting settled back up here. Yeah. You think you'd maybe look at that again?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I don't think that I would want to deal too much with a direct customer like that. I kind of want to go more the investment route. Yeah. Like maybe retail. And I know that's like a retail places for people to rent and also residential places for people to rent. It all depends on what I can get into. Taxes are a lot higher here, so it's kind of harder to find certain things. And then, getting in the right demographic in the right area, that's all a big...
offering the right
And I don't know much about it anyway, so I've got a lot to learn still. So I do know that it's a lot more of a passive income structure, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get into. And I'm also still working, so I'll have a full-time job that I'll travel to, and there's all kinds of different stuff. I have a few different opportunities that I can do, but what I'm trying to get back into right now is a more passive stream, plus being able to more stimulate my mind and what I want to do by fixing stuff. That's kind of what I want to do. So
you're saying trying to get like a maintenance job, right? Like,
yeah, like industrial maintenance type of thing, preventative maintenance.
I think that's smart too, because that's one of those things that like exists.
Yeah,
but
as
like
AI,
always.
My current job now is in a big process of letting AI start to take over a lot of jobs. Yeah. And one of them is process engineer, and that's where I didn't start at Intel doing that, but I had a stint of doing the process engineering, and it was extremely hard, and I could see where AI would just do much better than it did. And I could see where a lot of people would lose their job to that. Right. But with AI, there's got to be somebody to manage that. Right. So those guys will be repurposed, and they always have. Like my job went away. I was in a manufacturing position with Intel, and they laid off a lot of people, and just showing up and being willing to learn was the quality they were looking for. So they're like, no, you're not going anywhere, we're just going to put you somewhere else. And I was like, all right, great. When they put me somewhere else in my current position, I like it a lot. It's stimulating. You have to be available a lot, but it's that available sometimes is just sitting at your desk, literally just being available to go turn a wrench if you have to. And sometimes it's hard work, scheduling hundreds of things all at once. So it's like a mini project manager, field engineer, and engineer all in one, plus process engineering. So you've got a good 4 aspects of the job that really are complicated.
I think that would be exciting though.
It is.
just like you said, there's always stuff to work on. Like it's not like unless everything goes tits up at once, that's when it gets stressful. But it's just cool to have wear so many different hats.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's the project management portion of it is really cool because you get to go out into the field with the trades, and you're like, that's wrong, or that's not quite the design, or hey, explain this to me. Why is it looking this way? Or hey, good job, you guys got that exactly to spec, or which most of our union trades down there, those guys are really, really good at what they do, and they've been doing this for years and years. But it's the other exciting aspect, like I said, was going out there into the field, and I'm currently in the largest construction project in the country right now. And
really?
It's Intel's Fab 52, Fab 62 build on in Arizona, and so what they're doing is they're starting their new process and then their new business in the second building. So they're doing a foundry where places like Apple, Microsoft, the big companies that need chips can say, hey, we want them done this way. And a lot of other places like a new company, TSMC in Arizona, they do the foundry model. So that's one thing that I'm building that is just, it's really cool to have my name on that, to say, cool. I can drive past that in 20 years. It's going to be there, and they're going to be utilizing that space. And I can tell, it could be that dad to my kid, or my stepkids or whatever, and just be like,
or your grandkids,
or my grandkids. Hey, Grandpa,
be like,
note that.
Grandpa, we remember.
Yeah, he told us about 45 times now, just today.
Your big claim to fame.
Yeah.
That's really cool, though. I think that's exciting, actually.
It is to get out there and to see a clean room go from structure to like real. To an actual real space, which is it's really cool. There's a lot of intricacies, and just knowing how to do that, it makes you very sought after. If I wasn't such a big guy, I think I'd have been flying to Japan quite a bit more often, and I just can't be comfortable on a plane for that many hours.
It's when I went to Germany, like it's a long flight, like 7.5, 8.5 hours back. Like it make me uncomfortable in the first place. But I'm like, I want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to go to Japan too.
Yeah, Japan will be on the list one of these days. It's a great place to visit from what I hear. A lot of the engineers I work with tell me that they love it there. The big places that Intel allows me to go would be Ireland, Israel. Goodness, where's that other one?
Have you gone to any places?
No, I have not seeded yet. That's what they call seeding. Yeah. You're going over and learning a new process, and that's when they'll send you out to Ireland or like right now we've got guys in from Israel for security reasons and for they're learning a new process because we're building the latest process on our site. So they're going to take that back to Israel and they're going to build that in Israel.
That's awesome.
And then that same thing will happen with all of the guys from Ireland, and then we go out there and we teach them. But our facility is kind of like our high volume manufacturing facility, and it's just really cool because we do about 60 to 70% of Intel's total manufacturing business on that site. It's really, really cool to see how it's all pumped out. I mean, it's acres and acres of just piping and process and just weird looking stuff.
Do you have any certifications for what you do, or have you just been doing it so long?
I have loads of Intel certifications, loads and loads of Intel certifications, hundreds of them. But I don't have a lot of industry certifications. So like your OSHA certifications, I don't have that. I mean, that's all stuff I can easily go get. Like we were talking about. I mean, it's a couple months to to work through your OSHA all the way up to Safety Pro level. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a Safety Pro, but yeah, I know all those little OSHA nonsense rules that you gotta follow. Mainly because Intel makes OSHA look like they're babies. Intel's way crazier with their safety programs. So.
Well, I mean, OSHA's a generalization like across the board. And you usually, I mean, it works long enough. You're like, not all these rules make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But you start to see things like I worked for a company called Pentagon, not the Pentagon, but Pentagon, and what they do is they work throughout the country certifying clean rooms, cleaning clean room parts, doing all kinds of stuff.
Now, when you say clean room, what do you mean?
So a clean room, technically, the definition of a clean room is a certain, and depending on which level, which ISO level you're talking, but a clean room would be a certain amount of particles in a cubic foot. Yeah. So if it's under a certain amount of particles, it's this level of clean room. If it's under a next certain amount of particles, then it's that level of clean room. So to speak to that, there's a load of different types of mini environments and mega environments, and there's a lot of different variables with that.
But these are the kind of clean rooms that you have to wear a specific suit to go into. Yeah. Like this is working on
bunny suit. If you're ever interested, look up bunny suit or Intel's Fab 42. Yeah. They have a Google video that's really, really interesting.
But these, I believe, I could be wrong again, but I believe those are the rooms where they work on hard drives.
No. So our rooms, or at least at my fab, or what I do at my place, is we're making wafers. So this is way before hard drives.
Okay,
long
fair
before
enough,
hard drives. So the people
but computer
that are making
stuff, like, because you can't have any
the raw computer stuff.
Yeah, you can't have any kind of inconsistencies in the air getting inside.
Correct. Yes.
That's why they're clean rooms.
Yeah, and that's specifically on the tool sets that I've worked on, wet and dry etch tools. Wet etch, you do what's called surface scans, and that's you're scanning the surface of that wafer for particles. Yeah. And then you can go further and send it to a different machine and analyze those particles. And is it, what element is it on the periodic table of elements? And a lot of it is just what we call fab dust or carbon.
Yeah.
And so that's just stuff where, you're getting little eddies of air or something like that, where they're, you have particle buildups and they break loose and they get into the tools.
Yeah. Because as dumb as it might sound, the right kind of smallest speck of dust will compromise the whole computer system.
We're talking nanometers. So nanometers are something you cannot see with your eyes, and we're getting smaller than the nanometer, and I can't remember what it's called, angstrom, if I'm right. Yeah. So we're going into an 18 angstrom world, and actually TSMC is starting to move us into an even further smaller world.
That's wild.
Which is going to be pretty crazy to see what can be done with all that. It's going to change memory. It's going to change speed. It's going to change a lot of things for the computing world. So.
That's what's amazing to be like, because it's not like you're balls deep into the technological breakthroughs, but you're part of it.
I'm aware of it, and I'm definitely part of it.
You're getting to facilitate it even.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you said, that feels so cool to be part of.
Yeah, I take their tools that make these tools, or I'm sorry, these products, I take them from warehouse to my dock, and from my dock to the clean room space, and literally hook them up to facility gases, exhausts, whatever it is that it needs to produce these wafers. And then I introduce my field service engineers and project manage them while they integrate the tool until they get it running.
So stuff like that, they don't necessarily have out here.
There are wafer manufacturing sites here, but they're more a film. You're going to have more of a dielectric type of facility where Intel's literally any type of chem tool that you can think of, Intel's using it, more than likely. If it's state-of-the-art stuff or stuff that's producing anything to do with wafers, you're going to see that type of technology on Intel's campuses.
I've only dealt with it when I have a hard drive that just stopped working. Yeah. And when I brought it to the Geek Squad, and they're like, we can send it out to a clean room, but like they're like, it's $1,000 to send it. Yeah. And if they can recover anything, then it's like another $2,000.
Yeah, those are the data recovery places that are in, and that would be like Pentagon's. They do have a data recovery facility and division, and it's insane money to do that. And you're looking, I think the only time and place where that makes sense is if you had maybe some sort of Bitcoin or something like that where you lost something on that and you would have to send that out, and it would have to be worth thousands.
That's why I was like, it was like 10,000 pictures of my life for 10 years, but I'm like, how much do I really care about my life?
It's like, I'd love that. Maybe I'll just hold on to the hard drive and see if we.
I still have the hard drive,
time,
Yeah, well, not for nothing. Like a lot of our friends are gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, now I'm really missing these pictures.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have the money that I would invest in that. Yeah. But how's the technology going to change? I'm not ready to throw the hard drive away.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe eventually it'll look easier to just rip that stuff off.
Yeah.
And that'll be
you
awesome.
Never know how clean room technology will advance either. You may be able to have a clean room or a clean mini environment inside of your home at one point. And there are ways to do that in your home, but again, you've got to learn the whole aspect of the tear down of the hard drive and what you need to be doing, and it's just At that point, just send it off.
Because in my head, I'm like, I could take this son of a bitch apart.
You can, and ruin it.
Like, yeah, I'm like, that's gonna make 100% that it's never recoverable.
Yeah, but you'll learn something along the way.
That's
not
true.
to take hard drives apart.
Yeah, I am hard-headed.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, welcome to that world. You'll be getting your card soon. Don't worry. Yeah, so that Intel was really cool. I still work for them, and what I do is what I just explained, and it's what I've been doing. It can get mundane sometimes, especially when I work 410s with them, so it's nice to have 3 days off.
I love that schedule too.
And then I also have, I can just say, I'm working Monday this week, or I'm gonna take a compressed work week this week, where all you do, you get four times a year. You just tell them, look, you get to take your compressed work week. Yeah, you got to go from 10 to 12 hours in one day.
Sure.
But you just work those 3 days, and they give you the extra 4 hours for free.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So now you've got the 4 days off. You can do that 4 times a year.
That'd be even better if you could
that's
just work
beneficial when you're trying to go on vacation or something like that.
Absolutely.
Get that extra day or a travel day or whatever you need it for.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Plus,
that's probably what's afforded you to be able to come out here so often.
Yeah, I get loads of vacation.
Yeah. Do you drive? You said
I fly a lot.
You said Greg took you to the airport.
Yeah. Greg dropped me at the airport. Yeah, that was. Yeah, we went and had breakfast in I don't know, Tempe, I think, and went to the airport. That's my thing. My girlfriend was telling me about this. She's like, your name's Papa Noah now because you just want to go to breakfast all the damn time. You're just doing old man shit. And I'm like, you're right. I like old man shit.
I can't wait till we start meeting for the early bird special, like 3:30. But you guys want to get dinner?
What are you doing this afternoon?
There's something nice though, like not for nothing, about easing into that, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of be like, you know what, I am Papa Noah.
Yeah.
Okay, who cares?
Whatever.
I've done what I'm
only
do.
40 years old, but still.
Yeah, but it's all downhill from here, right?
I don't know about all that, but I do have some ambitions to get a little more physically healthy and do some more
I'm with
things,
you on that.
So yeah.
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 That's what you should do is when you come back up here, me, you and Jason get our shit together finally.
I don't know about getting our shit together, but physically, sure.
At least healthy-wise.
Yeah, getting our shit together. Yeah, I kind of like being a bum.
I don't think your work ethic would let you be a bum.
You're probably right.
Especially coming up here because, like you said, your girlfriend, she's got 2 kids.
Yeah, she has 2 kids.
Yeah, and I know you be taking care of them.
Well, yeah, she does all the taking care of, but yeah, definitely support that for sure. Yeah, that's
dual
for
income
sure,
probably feels really good.
Oh my God, yeah, that'd be nice to be back to that. Being married, I was with my ex-wife from the time I was about 18. We were hanging out every day from probably late 16 to all the way up until we started, dating at 18.
Yeah.
And then
when did you guys get divorced? Or at least start that process?
My goodness, 2018 was final.
So that
started it October
just 6 years ago.
Yeah.
You guys together for like 20 years.
Oh yeah, we were together for a long, long time. Yeah, and then we got back together after the divorce for a little bit.
Nice.
Foolish, very foolish.
I love that as a team you were both like, remember when we threw this away because it wasn't working?
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do that again. But you know what? It was nice because we were able to create some good, wholesome memories.
Sure.
And my ex is not a bad person.
Yeah, you guys co-parent also.
Yeah. She's a wonderful woman. She does great for our kid, and it's about as far as we'll go with her. But she's kind of. We don't get along, but we do kind of get along now. But there's a hierarchy we don't get along now.
Right. Well, there's a difference
of being decent
and I feel like it's different for everybody. Yes. But in my experience, like being friends with you, no problem.
Yeah.
Being in a relationship with you, way different.
Right. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't.
Well, and that's so true with my current relationship. I've known her for quite a while, and I've been a part of her dynamic for a while. We've been good friends for a long time, and being her best friend for a long time, and then being her boyfriend is way different.
Yeah.
There's a lot more challenges, and there's a lot more just things you don't think about in that type of relationship. And it's really cool. It's awesome to sift through those little things.
Navigating that dynamic.
It's a dance. It's just a dance. It really is. And it's a very fun thing. I'm really enjoying getting back into that. I was kind of to the point where I was like, maybe dating just isn't my thing.
That's just where I'm at now. Like, do you, especially like being in a long relationship like that, when you feel like when you're able to go back out into the world, which is already terrifying, and you're kind of like, maybe it's just past me. Like, you almost feel stifled because I've been in this for so long.
Yeah.
How the hell do I do this now?
Well, and when I started to date again, I was extremely apprehensive.
Yeah.
You know, like I do not, like my big was like, I'm not going to let any of them, you know, meet my kid until we're at least 6 months to a year down the road, which it's a good boundary to have, you know.
Yeah, healthy.
But I was like, you know, dogmatic about it, and for some reason thought I had to stick to my guns on that, and it just was, no, every person that you go to date is going to be different.
Right.
Your level of security with them is going to be different.
Yeah.
Their level of trust, gain, loss, whatever it is, will all vary. So it's taking things as they come and reacting to things as they come has been a big lesson through all of that, you know, and versus just being dogmatic. But, you know, going back to the dating, that was really weird. You know, it was really, really weird. The first time I started dating another girl was just wild, you know, just to see some of the stuff, you know, and just, you know, that was a very quick 2-week relationship, and I was no okay, we're gonna take another 6 months off here or something like that, I think it was. But and that's, I think, the old adage of when you stop looking, you find love, and man, that is so true, you know?
See, that's an interesting idea too, because like you said, you guys were friends for so long.
Yeah.
What did that look like then, to kind of all of a sudden you're just like, oh, okay.
Well, it was there was a lot of.
Was there ever, like, not in any kind of infidelity way, but was there ever a time in your life where it was like, there's something here maybe to explore, or was it always just, we're just friends, whatever?
I mean, of course, I mean, there was that later on in our friendship,
just being like,
maybe
what
the
if?
last, like, couple of years was like, oh, wow, you know, that could be something.
Yeah.
But there was some other dynamics that it just was like, you know, maybe I'll just, you know, because she had other people in her life that was just kind of like, you know, maybe I don't, I maybe not want to explore that.
Yeah.
So, but you know, that it ended up working out. It was a great thing. So.
How long you guys been together now?
A couple weeks now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's well, no, couple months. Now.
I say it's been a couple months now, because we started talking about scheduling this.
Yeah.
And it's taken us months to get.
Yeah. So a couple months now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. I think that's awesome. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. It's a good, wholesome thing going on, you know, and I'm very happy.
Do you find too, like, we had mentioned too, of like, just a minute ago, about like accepting things kind of as they're coming up instead of being reactive to them. Do you find that like certain parts of your life you were way more reactive, or maybe quick to temper, or do you feel like you've always kind of been even keeled?
No, yeah, younger. Definitely had that fiery, weird temper that
you felt like you had something to prove for no reason.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's you get that just kind of being in this area. Maybe I really have talked to a lot of my male friends, and just even people that aren't necessarily friends, more acquaintances, and they all say, yeah, I mean, you live the way that I grew up. I mean, I'm not going to say, I mean, I guess it was the hood, you know, Sagecrest over on Lake Street. It was rough, you know, there was a lot of gang activity and drug activity and, you know, stuff like that. And everywhere I went, it was like that. You know, I had family that always lived in those areas. So it's
things you don't realize when you're living in it.
Right.
But then when you grow up, you're like, oh, my experience was very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. So I don't know.
Because you didn't have, like, your parents weren't abusive, or you don't have a lot of trauma?
I mean, there's definitely
issues,
some trauma.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, my dad was extremely abusive.
Yeah.
Verbally, mentally, physically.
So
just all
which is exactly how mine was, a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, just
my
a
dad
crazy
was
person.
absolutely a psychopath. Yeah. Yep. And that's.
Because I feel like that might be, for people like us, those roots of back in the day where we hit a wall, where it's like, no, fuck you.
Exactly.
This or nothing.
Yes, exactly. And with that fervor too.
Yeah.
You know, and just there was no, like, no, I am my own self now.
Yeah.
You know, I have an identity and you will respect that. And
Do you remember that point of, like, obviously growing up in the trauma is tough, because I was just having this conversation with my mom last night, where you're around these people that quote unquote love you, or at least they're supposed to love you, but they're sending you mixed signals. And that kind of fucks you up for forever whenever somebody tells you they love you.
Yeah, because I mean, me and my old man, my dad died of cancer, and it was a nasty, nasty cancer. Kidney cancer that essentially spread all the way to his brain, and it took a long time to take him out. But he, the way he treated my mother when they divorced, or not divorced because they were divorced at the time, when they split, was really harsh, because like he literally emptied the house on her when she was down in Arizona. She come back, she had no phone. I didn't know she, so it was just, I stopped talking to my dad after that. I said, man, you can't, even if you hated her, man, you got to at least give her some basic, And, so.
Had you not talked to him for a couple of years when he died?
I had not talked to him for, about 3 or 4, maybe closer to, about 3 years, I want to say. And then it was about 6 months, my aunt had called and was like, hey, he's dying. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like, he wants to rectify the situation. I said, absolutely.
Dude, did you get to reconcile?
I did.
That's really cool.
I had about a good 6 months of every single time we ended the phone call, I love you, son, things like that. So that was really great to have.
What a gift.
That.
Like, that's
really
absolutely
cool. And it was, the thing was, is all I had to do was just take it, like you say, what a gift. All I had to do was just take it. And the same with my dad. All he had to do was just take it, because we were both willing, and once it, I figured he was terminal, it's like, it doesn't even fucking matter.
Well, there's even that part too where I feel like at our level, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but like where we have to put the emphasis on letting our ego go and kind of being like, okay, I understand why you're the way you are.
Right.
I'm not going to let it affect me now.
Right.
To where like, okay, let's just move forward. I'll let bygones be, and we'll just move. Like, especially
absolutely.
like being serial, because I didn't talk to my dad the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He was alive either, and it was the same thing. Like he was really, he was shitty to my mom. I had to pull my dad off my mom once.
I never had to do that.
Yeah.
My mom was a bowdy broad, if you would.
Well, my mom, she punched him in the face is why he was pissed. Like he wasn't hitting her or anything. He was just holding her hands down so she wouldn't punch him.
Yeah.
But I
felt the need to step in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I heard her screaming. I'm like, okay, well now it's different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Like it's.
You don't know what's really going on there. Who's got the pressure, whatever.
Well, my dad's a little guy too. Like he's only like 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
So I'm already taller than him anyways. And I'm like, I'm also very even keeled.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you and I we can get angry, but like in a real situation, it's like terrifyingly calm. Like this is about to pop off.
Yes. it can be. When I was younger, it was never like that. Nowadays, oh, absolutely. You are the only time you're gonna. Yeah, I never look to be physical with anybody, because I'm 40, man. I got impingements. I mean, I have things going on with me. I don't want to get beat up.
Right.
Nor do I want to beat anybody up, because it makes the mental fuck, so to say, and that's exactly what it is. The mental fuck that you have after that. Yeah. You feel stupid, you feel shamed, you feel just like, why, and if you have sense, of course.
Right.
If you don't have sense, and I got the best of them or whatever, and you let your machismo get to you, and that's just kind of stupid.
It's interesting you say that, because I've never really been in a fight. I've always been a bigger dude, and just most people won't mess with me, and I don't want to fight ever. Yeah. But at a party once, a guy knocked out my friend Lindsay, cold cocked her right in the face.
Oh boy!
And that was the only time I've ever put my hands on a man.
Right.
And
that's just that carnal. You have to. You don't have a choice. It's
I wasn't.
Your fight or flight is not even there. It's fight.
I wasn't thinking exactly and even that I still wasn't hurting. I choked him out basically until he stopped moving. But I remember afterwards everybody being like, how oh, you did the right thing, or that's so cool. And I'm like, it's fucking stupid.
Right.
It should have happened in the first place.
Right.
We clearly shouldn't have even been there.
Right.
Trying to hang out with my friend who I haven't seen in forever.
Right.
And we clearly chose the wrong place to hang out. Right. This is dumb.
And that type of shame shapes you into the man you are today.
Right.
It's like, this is just idiotic.
Yeah.
Why are you going to be barbaric and put your hands on somebody else?
Right.
It's stupid.
Yeah, especially because then there's all the adult shit you don't realize. I got to call her husband now.
Yeah.
Who I had to convince to let her come hang out with us.
Oh, yeah.
And be like, I need your insurance information. Got to take your wife to the hospital.
Yeah.
So
the what?
Yeah. So dumb.
Okay,
dude.
You guys aren't hanging out anymore.
Yeah, but I'm with you. It's cool to be able to look back and see those kind of retrospective things and being like, that's real growth, right? I didn't do any of that stuff. And actually, interesting enough, my dad's ashes are in this lake.
Wow, that's cool. My mom and dad are out at Big Rock, illegally buried there, and I'm very proud of that.
That's some Josh Diekman shit.
Yep, yeah, the really cool thing about that is that they're only down about maybe I'd say 3-4 feet, so good, enough for the box and everything to go, right?
They'll show up again eventually. Geez,
maybe, who knows? I was a little, I guess, lazy with it.
Did you dig the hole?
I dig the hole. I dug the hole, yeah. Wow. I went down quite a bit. What I thought was good, but definitely not 6 foot, but it's just ashes. So, you know what I mean? It's not obviously not HR. But anyway, so everything that was surrounded by the beautiful little spot that I picked out was, poison ivy, poison sumac, and poison oak. And it was like my parents' last laugh, kind of a prank on me. I had it on every inch of my body, every inch of my body.
Oh, that is funny.
The buddy that came out with me, every inch of his body. I had my little one with me, and every inch of their body too.
Just covered.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Something else. It was. I mean, it was okay though. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it only took 3 weeks to get rid of. 2 weeks off of work. No big deal.
You a little cream, a little sauve. Right.
Yeah. A little cream, a little sauve. We're all right. But that's a pretty cool little spot for them. But where are we at? I'm trying to think.
Covered a lot.
We did.
We've jumped around a lot also.
Yeah, which is
I'm being distracted by, we're surrounded
these
by
absolutely beautiful ducklings.
Dude, there's so many
geese
right here, and there's a ton of babies, a couple of teenagers.
Yeah, you move too sudden, we might get bit.
Definitely ran at.
Yeah.
And I don't want to boot a goose, but I also don't want to get chased
Yeah,
by
I'm not above that. Back to the controlling your anger and being a man, it's again there's always that time where
as far as I'm concerned, it's their space.
It is. It absolutely is.
I feel like I'm the
They were
dick.
kind of hanging out here before we got here, so see you later, guys.
Oh, that dog.
Yeah. Blessing in disguise.
So what do you think? Where are we going now? We kind of alluded to the fact that you're coming back up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And
I literally have a job interview
after this.
After this, and it'll be my last one that I'm considering, and I'm.
Oh, you've had a few?
I've got
coming up
2
every
offers
weekend
now,
for a little bit.
And then I likely will have a third offer from this place.
Look at that confidence.
It is definitely
that
confidence, but my skill set is highly sought after.
Speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, and it does. So it's being in the semiconductor manufacturing industry. Every manufacturing industry wants you like that. Like just talking to a person that works at Wrigley over here in Yorkville, and he was telling me how he's gonna take a pilgrimage, if you will, down to Intel to learn some of our manufacturing processes to apply at Wrigley. So I mean, and Intel is inviting them to come because Wrigley's going to purchase product from them. So that's it's a win-win situation. But
right
that kind of alludes to where a lot of people, when it comes to American companies and manufacturing, generally will go to Intel for a lot of guidance. It's really weird. It's a whole separate division that they have.
It's crazy because I feel like if you just on the surface you're like, oh yeah, they make processors.
Yeah.
But then you're like, there's so much more to the company.
Yeah. We all of our I and W series processors, those things are amazing. I mean, they're not right now. They're not industry leading anymore, but they're it's like Android gets these features, and then Apple perfects them. And that's kind of, and I'm an Android user. I don't know why I say that, but it's still very.
But it's true. It is true. But then while Apple will sit on their laurels, they'll keep pushing on the other side until the next thing. And then Apple's like, oh, we got to catch up.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'd rather be with the innovators than somebody who's just like, well, we took it and we like what it's doing, and that's good enough.
Right.
I'd rather continue to move forward.
Right. Yeah. Let's perfect those features that everybody really liked. If you start to see a mass cult following on those, let's work on that, man. I think that's going to help everybody's life out. But.
Have you been looking at property out here? I know your girlfriend has a place.
My girlfriend has a place. I'm starting to look at some properties. My whole idea was to kind of maybe find like a double apartment, something like a duplex or something like that. Live in one of them and rent the other one out.
Smart.
Something where I could just kind of get some sort of income to help out the taxes and the mortgage and stuff like that.
Do you think you'll buy a house?
Oh yeah. I'll definitely be buying.
Like right away, or not till you get reestablished?
Yeah, I've got some equity in the home that I own down there.
Yeah.
And it would be kind of foolish not to reinvest that.
Right.
And just go ahead and get into something. Because now obviously the market's similar. So it's
sure.
You're going to lose a little bit with closing and all that stuff. But Shoger's incredible with his realty approach, and every one of my deals he's ever done has always been successful. And I mean, I've made some good money.
It's one of those guys. Like I love Amy Langus is really good. Also. But because they're no nonsense kind of people.
Yeah. Yep.
And I always refer to them as like real people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they like what they like and they're who they are. But when it comes to business, they're real people. Mm-hmm. And if you can handle the truth. Yep. That's all they're going to give you because they're not here to sugarcoat anything or maybe talk you. They're like, no, this is what's going to be like.
Working with Shoger through my divorce, that's what caused a sale, of course, because we both owned that home.
Yeah.
And we decided to sell it and move out of it. And so Shoger got that sale, and he got my purchase. I don't know what my ex did. He may have got a purchase, or I don't know. That's their business. But what I did, I was looking at some homes, and there were just outside of my range, and Shoger's like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
that ain't the move. And he found something that was a condo in incredible, literally a mile from the US 60 and a mile from the 101. And it was a 2-bedroom. I needed a place for me and no lawnmowers.
He's still not he's just driving around.
Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Jason Carey's involved.
Somehow.
I know it.
Yeah, he's too handsome not to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I smell him.
He does smell the older he gets.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not like bad or anything. It's just distinct.
And when you smell it, you're like, that just smells like Jason Carey.
And I don't think I've seen. I mean, it's definitely been a decade since I've seen Jason. So,
yeah.
I'm very keen on his smells and whatnot.
That's funny.
Oh man, where were we at there? I forgot.
We were talking about property in general and that process and stuff like that. But
But,
where do you think you would be looking to buy a house out here?
Probably west of 47.
Yeah.
So like Yorkville, Sandwich, Plano, maybe even a little bit further as Sonoma.
Really?
If something in Lake Howdy came up, I would probably buy that. I like the place. I love fishing, and there's great fishing out there.
I lived there for a little while. Yeah. I hated living out there.
I have a very good friend that lives out. A couple of very good friends, 3 to be exact.
I think I can do better now. Now I live in DeKalb, so I'm used to traveling far to come hang out.
Yeah.
But at the time, in my 20s when I lived there, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been down there in my 20s too, sneaking on people's docks and fishing. And then the best was I snuck up there one time when I was visiting. And they called the sheriff and LaSalle come out, and they were just like, "Look, dude, we know, because that was maybe 2 or 3 years after I had left. He's like, we know exactly who you are, buddy. And I'm like, I know you know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not like,
I'm not hiding anything.
But I've got some pretty nasty speeding tickets in LaSalle County. You know who I am. That's fine. Whatever. And they said, just don't do that anymore. No problem, buddy. No problem. I thought I was going to jail for trespassing.
Man, that would be crazy. I think I can handle it better now. My brother and his wife had a house in Lake Holiday. I lived there, and then the across the street where the mobile homes are. My dad lived in there, so it's like, most of my family's right there.
Yeah, people I consider to be my family. They're old friends. A friend of mine that had passed in high school. His sisters, all of them live out there. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, they're all good people. And I go visit as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've kind of been my quasi family for a very long time, and it was just always been, really the last few times that I come up, it's to see just my core friends, which was now my girlfriend, and those folks.
Is that Dave you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we were friends in junior high. When we came up. I like that guy.
Yeah, I like him too. He showed me a level of friendship that helped me deplore that on other folks. And I hope I was able to be a brother, honest brother, like he really was, like a brother to me, you know. And,
I feel like people like us that kind of come from where we come from are very into our chosen family.
Yeah.
And like, because we're loyal to a fault sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's all we have.
Yeah.
And we know what it's like to be hurt by those who claim they care about you.
Yeah.
So like we're very particular, and when we do it, it's we're all in.
Yeah, you know, everybody's guilty of receiving and giving that. And it's never intended, you know, and sometimes it's worse than others, but you kind of go through it, I guess.
I would say one of the harder parts too is like as we're getting older, a lot of people are missing.
Yeah.
And it sucks, like, because there's various reasons, like, you know, nobody's immune, and there's tons of things, like, simple as a car accident, drug overdose, like, unfortunately, even suicides, like, there's just...
Yeah, touching on that, I mean, I didn't know the last two that we lost. I didn't know them very well. I think T was one of them, if I'm right.
Mm-hmm. Sunday was 2 years since we lost T, yeah.
Oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I have met him a time or two at various, you know, gatherings or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
You'd remember him.
I remember him. Yes,
he's
exactly.
such a character.
That's what Empirical Peapod is so, or why it's so special to me, because I remember some of these folks.
Yeah.
I may or may not, you know, like Shoger, of course, I know a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
There's a couple little things that were highlights for me, but, you know, just, you know, some of your, like you had your cousin on. That was a great episode because I didn't even know you had a cousin. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, well, you know, I'm kind of jonesing to hear, you know, Tim's interview. You know, so
I had two cousins. One of my cousins has your same last name.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
And it's from the sandwich.
That's you know, my own
narcissism.
My own narcissism. Yes, my own narcissism made me want to listen to that. And I was like, yeah. Last name's pretty good. Probably a very interesting episode. So let's go ahead and listen to that.
Actually, a lot of people. So it's funny because that's my cousin Shannon.
Yeah.
And her brother is Elwood.
Yeah.
And a ton of people know him that I didn't realize, because he's like big into like the Harley scene and the bar scene out in Yorkville
cool.
area in Plano and stuff. And we ran into him on St. Patrick's Day, and I'm like, oh man, this is. Well, they just had a friend of theirs just passed away, I think, in a motorcycle accident. Yeah, that's right. So I'm like, it's crazy how connected they are. Like, I would have never even
I didn't know Mike either.
That.
But everybody I know knew Mike.
Right, I started seeing all
and
these people.
It to me was kind of gut-wrenching, like, oh man, I lost a friend almost, but I didn't even know him.
Yeah.
I literally have never met Mike. But it was like when you get that empathetic, everybody has that sense of loss, you kind of like, you get that too, and it's like, oh man, that sucks. I'm sorry my friends are feeling like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's really shitty. You know, and then you just want to kind just support. You know, I mean, that's
absolutely.
really what it is.
I think that's it's something that I've been thinking of, just because my brain's silly, that I don't like thinking about. But I'm like, since the show exists, eventually some of us aren't going to be around.
Yeah.
But we'll have had this, you know, whatever stupid interview.
Yeah.
And it'll be like the last kind of thing that we can all hold on to. And I'm like, I hope that that's worth it when we get there.
It's funny you say that, because that is exactly how I likened the podcast to a relatable topic to my girlfriend this morning when she was trying to ask me, like, because she just totally did not get what I was doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we had a good, 20-minute conversation about it, and I was trying to explain everything. And she, of course, understood what it was.
Intellectually, she gets it.
Right, she gets it.
But what's the point?
Yeah, exactly, right. Like, again, why are you doing this? It's like, yeah, it's just old friends, and it's just... But the thing that I told her, I was like, it would be an amazing thing if I were to tragically pass away and my child or children have that. That would be a great tool for them to cope.
Yeah.
Maybe learn a little bit about.
That's one of the reasons I kind of pivoted about the show, is because before when I first started, I was like, I'll have certain ideas for certain guests.
Right. Yeah.
But then I was like, I kind of just want to do a biography of everybody.
Yeah.
So like my goal now is to kind of bring everybody and kind of focus on their life story, and like over the next 3 seasons introduce people, and then like around season 4 bring back old guests and start being like, okay, now what? Like, what have you been doing now?
Yeah.
And like, it's
Episode
almost like
2.
as an right. Well, as a listener, you're like, oh, I know this person's story already. Where are they at now? Yeah, because you would have, if you would have listened to the other episodes, you'd be like, oh, I feel like I'm growing with these people now. This is interesting. That's the plan. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, and that's and I'm not at all trying to blow smoke or anything, but that's what I loved about Howard Stern, was that he kind of gets you into that personal buy-in of his guest, and there's certain guests like I could give a shit less about. But once you listen to Howard interview them, it's like, wow, that guy's interesting. Now I see why he's a Hollywood type. Right. Or now I see why he's famous or something of that nature. Yeah. Or, folks that are not very famous, they're just influential or whatever somehow, But it was really cool. But that, I think, is another aspect of Empirical P-Pad.
On a very, very small scale. That was the goal, is to kind of, we have amazing friends. Yeah. And you meet amazing people all the time. Yeah. And you don't.
Well, except for Jason Carey. That's
somebody's got to be the sack of shit. But you know what he's excited about? He's mentioned almost every episode somebody brings him up, or I bring him up. So that's his little claim to fame.
Yep, he is a famous little turd.
He's a well-known little guy. Yeah. But that was kind of the point, is to be like, these people are amazing, and it's easy to overlook them. Yeah. So like, just take a second, stop, and appreciate your friends.
Absolutely, yeah, because it's just to and to see, like, with Jason, like, I read his Mother's Day post about his mom. And, Mother's Day is one of the hardest days of the year for me because I was a mama's boy and I lost my mom. And it's coming up on 10 years in a couple of weeks here. Yeah. And that was a really hard thing, but it's gut wrenching to read that and know the pain that you go through. And it's so very true. Like, man, just suck it up. If you got something going on, just suck it up, man. It's not worth it, especially if it's your mom.
It's definitely
but
tough.
There are some toxic situations.
Sure, absolutely. For sure.
It's very rare that you.
There's also a lot of petty. There's also a lot of petty situations where you're just like, dude, like we said earlier, like, you've got to have the wherewithal to let your ego go, because they're not. Yeah. Like, it's something I've had to learn too, is just be like, okay, you're here. If I want a relationship, I have to be at a different level. Like,
I learned from someone very recently. She had told me that, because I was commending her on how she can argue and how she can essentially manage, because she manages folks. Yeah. And I was asking her, like how do you do it? Like, how do you keep your calm? She's like, you just need to stay on topic and not bring your emotions. Yes, you may feel shitty, and there is a time to tell them that you feel shitty, but now is not the time. Right. Stay on topic. Keep on your, treat it like you're, a professional. And I don't know, what everyone else would get out of that, but what I got from it was just to be a little more patient and just kind of, maybe seek to understand before you seek to respond. Right. And there's a lot of that I've learned just over the last few months and the last few years that have just been pretty awesome.
I've always been a big proponent of being like, all right, let me be receptive, not reactive.
Yeah. And that's hard to do even now. Even as a 40-year-old man, I still have testosterone that is just insane sometimes. When you get heated, it's hard to say, wait a second, you're being unreasonable. Stop. Yeah. And pivot, and it's not hard to do that, but it is hard when, you're emotionally invested the wrong way, or you don't have a control of your emotions, or you don't know how to process them, so
that's true.
Yeah. And it's an ever evolving thing. So, everybody's got to learn how to, because you don't know, anger can affect you differently at 30 than it does at 40 or
that's
50
true.
or
like,
60.
Like we were saying too before we got on, like, we're at the age where we're hitting a point of no return. Yeah. Where it's time to start getting healthy for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like anger and stress is a big part of that. Yeah. Where it's like,
stress is a killer.
It's gonna manifest in your body. Like, not for nothing, that could be one of the keys to why we've always been overweight in the first place. Yeah, it's just a matter of we haven't explored that yet. So when we start kind of peeling the curtain back and being like, oh, okay, if I can relax, I can start doing this.
I've done therapy on and off my whole life. Being in an alternative school, like I had talked about, they forced that on you in the early years before they even really knew what it was. When they were just telling everybody they were just ADD or
nothing like forced it on you at a point when you like want to fight it though.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and that was to a high detriment to me because I didn't think what I didn't think that it was beneficial. I just thought that they were forcing me to tell things so they could go back to my parents or they can go back to somebody else and like my teachers.
Well, it's one of those things that you don't trust them in the first place, and they don't explain it well because they hit a wall where they're just like, just do what I say, goddammit.
Yeah, and that never works. And you know, and I unfortunately as a father have deplored that tactic on my child because was what I learned, you know, to a high detriment. You know, my kid does not like any type of, you know, anything. You don't tell them to do anything because if you do, you know, they are their own. That's that whole other thing like we were talking about. Now I am my own man. Now I am my own you know, personality, and you're not going to take that from me. And that's where you start to stand as an individual, as an adult. You know, I think, and that's you get treated like that when you're younger, and that comes a little earlier. Yeah,
and then now you're like, I'm a grown person. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget one of my favorite things that happened. I worked at the junior high was there was this little 12-year-old girl who was like, I'm not doing this. I'm grown. And I was like, if you're grown, what am I?
Oh boy.
And she's like, well, you're big grown. So now when anybody tries to push me, I'm like, I'm big grown.
I'm big grown.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not little grown. I think I'm gonna start using that.
Dude, it feels good. I'm big grown.
Yeah, because I mean I love talking in an authoritative manner, but it doesn't mean anything in the end.
Nah.
Really I'm just a big old teddy bear.
Yeah. You know. That's what always made me laugh is like you were talking about like you've roosted in the hen house and wallowed in the pigsty.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But like I've always known you as like Jason and I, where we're very lighthearted, making ridiculous, stupid jokes, and just having the best time all the time. And like whenever somebody would talk, I'd be like, "Are you sure we're talking about Noah?" Because like I promise, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
If you don't mess with him, he's always adorable.
I try to be, you know. Just don't poke the bear. There's a very very true saying when it comes to that. Just leave me the hell alone. You know, it's really that simple. You know, and it's I don't know. There's when you start to learn more about that else, it just kind of that whole part of yourself just dies.
And it feels good to an extent to where like good riddance. Like I'm grateful for what you did for me while you were here, but I don't need you anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. What are you most looking forward to though? Because I feel like you've got amazing things coming up on the horizon. Like
just the season's changing.
It's back in Illinois.
Weird enough, shoveling some snow.
I'm gonna remember you said that, you asshole.
I know. Just being able to be out and doing stuff. You know, I want to go to Starved Rock. I want to go to Matthias, and I want to go up to the Dells. I don't want to be too far from this stuff. We're so close to Canada here. We're so close to New York here.
There's so much we take
Arizona,
for granted
I've done
here.
Everything. I've been to literally everything south of Reno, all the way over to the coast and down. You know, even into Mexico. I've done it all. I would like to get up into like the redwoods and stuff before I take off, but I don't have to live in Arizona to go to the redwoods in California. You know, so,
Still
I
nice
would much
travel.
rather live here because it's just there's so much, like I said, more spiritual connections, more love, more just everything here that I just have been lacking in Arizona. I have an incredible friend base down there, and I love those people to death.
Right.
And they're probably going to be very upset when they hear this episode. But that's okay, you know. It is what it is, you know. But,
do you have siblings?
I have a sibling. We don't really talk, and we haven't really been cordial for a while. But Nathan is his name. He's a great guy. He's a Marine, and he's a retired Marine, and he does some, I think, insurance stuff with his wife down in Corpus Christi. He's got some wonderful, beautiful kids that are very successful.
Nice.
He's also he's fully retired now, and he's a great guy.
Is he older?
He is 4 years older than me, so he'll be 45.
He just worked it out really well.
Oh yeah. He had a medical retirement from the military, and
so they take care of him probably.
Yeah, I think his rank had a little bit to do with it, and I don't really know. We haven't had those conversations, so But I would imagine rank and tenure had a little bit, because I think he did an 8-year stint, because he did re-enlist, so that kind of helped him out. And I think on the second deployment was where he got injured and got his full medical retirement, if you will.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of not really kosher info to put out about him, but it's not very identifying, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
he's
he's a very capable male, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a very awesome guy. We
Also,
just don't get along. That's
I
all.
wouldn't
We're
look
two
to go
very
making
alpha
trouble
men.
with a Marine either.
No, that's not the guy you want to do. I promise you, that's not the guy you want to do it.
Who would have thought in your family that you're not the worst one to provoke?
Yeah, that's and literally the only one that didn't go to the military too. You know,
Really?
Everybody else is military or army.
That's wild.
And some of them are multi-branched. You know, cousins and whatnot. Yeah.
I can't wait until winter when you're like, this was a mistake.
I do, there's snowblowers available from what I hear.
Yeah,
And I have somewhat of a budget for it. I've put that aside, and I think I might just put a little bit of a plow budget on, for possibly. I mean, there's
do you drive here in a
money.
car?
I did. Oh yeah, I'm in my girlfriend's car right now. But,
yeah.
So I left my race car at home. my baby race car at home.
Do you have a race car?
No, it's just a little Kia Forte that I've got little, I got some rims on it and exhaust and an upgraded turbo. It's fast,
Sure.
It eats some Dodge's lunches, and they are pissed about that.
I'll bet.
A little Korean import.
A little Kia. Yeah. I'd be pissed off too.
I've had some guys, I'll blow past them, and they get up to the next light or something like that, and they're just like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it says right on the back. I mean, it's not debadged, buddy. It says what it is. What do you got in it? Not stock. And it's fun,
Yeah,
so
that is
But
fun.
I should probably get rid of it, because I do nefarious things in it. Like
I heard you almost went to
speeding,
jail for speeding.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're pretty good there.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I said, I'm really excited. I'm excited for you to come back in general.
Yeah. I'm
That's
excited
awesome.
for episode 2 for this. Yeah, for the update. But this is every Monday is a fun day for me to be able to listen to these. So do appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you listening, giving a shit. I appreciate you finding time in, coming down here.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I apologize to everybody for all the lawnmowers. There's a fucking plane went by.
Yeah, but you know what? There were like that bird that was chirping and still chirping over there. So you're welcome for that.
That's true. It is beautiful. It's actually funny to me because I was just talking about how so far everybody I've done has been at the place where I record, and they all are. I'm like, ooh, they're starting to sound a lot better.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, we decided to do it out here. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's still raw and not shitty, but I like the raw. I'm almost glad that we did. I mean, I'm definitely glad we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have eliminated the lawnmowers, but everything else. I wish the ducks were still hanging out.
Yeah,
the geese.
yeah.
But
I agree.
let's,
I like those other episodes down here too. That was good stuff.
Dude, the one with Rob was the worst one. His neighbor in his little remote car. But, all right, but I appreciate it, man. Love you, brother.
Yeah, likewise.